చేశారు. దాన్ని ఏ విధంగా ఉపయోగించుకోవాలి మీ స్కూళ్ళలో అని చెప్పడం కోసం చిన్న ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఇస్తారు. అవసరమైన వాళ్ళు తన దగ్గర అడిగి తీసుకోవచ్చు. మీ దగ్గర ప్రతి దగ్గర అందరి దగ్గర టీవీస్ ఉంటాయి, లేదంటే దాన్ని మీకు సెల్లో కూడా ప్రజెంట్ చేస్తారు. మీరు స్క్రీన్ షేర్ ద్వారా మీ స్కూల్స్లో ఉపయోగించుకోవచ్చు. దానికోసము ఒక 9 to 5
Before the beginning, well, friends and colleagues, my dear children, I am interested to give a symposium on the recent happenings. You will be pretty knowing what happened recently with respect to our India. It is perhaps a pride factor. ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, Indian Space Research Organization, which is pioneering in the satellite technology. As it is launched a satellite called NISAR. NISAR is the satellite. It was recently launched by what you call ISRO. Actually, this was not designed by us. We are not pioneered this. This satellite actually designed by NASA. NASA in the sense National Aeronautical Space Agency, funded by America. In collaboration with NASA, we launched this satellite recently in a very successful manner. This rendition is made on the behest of our beloved headmaster Sri Venkata Srinivasulu garu. On the behest of him, I interested to prepare this one. Next slide, please. One can see the panoramic view of launching of a rocket. Actually, launching of a rocket takes place like this. The thing what you are watching is not a satellite. Remember, there is a wide difference between a rocket and a satellite. Here one can see the spectacular phenomena of launching of a rocket. Launching of a rocket. One can see the spectacular phenomena of launching of a rocket. Launching of a rocket. Here, if you observe, the rocket seems to be what you call engines were fired, and the rocket seems to be launched. In the due course of this, you come across how rocket will be launched. What is the difference between a satellite and a rocket? How actually this rocket makes the satellite to put into the particular orbit. These all things we come across in the due course of this symposium. Next slide, please. This actually the launch of NISAR satellite. By undergoing a greater stress, I founded this video. Actually, you can see this is the NISAR satellite which has been launched recently. This is the NISAR satellite. NISAR in the sense NASA. It is a joint collaboration of NASA. So it is what you call N, the letter N taken from NASA, I taken from ISRO, and remaining letters. Henceforth, it is named as NISAR. One can see the spectacular launching of the rocket and separation of the chamber, and it is put into the orbit. Here it is put into the orbit. One can see the separation. One can see the beautiful separation from the cryogenic engine of this rocket. If you will here, this is the festive mood of our beloved space scientists of India. Festive mood of beloved scientists of India. One can see the spectacular phenomena. It has been put into the Earth's orbit. The thing what you are NISAR separation you can observe here. This NISAR separation is nothing but what you call it has been launched successfully. So there is a congratulatory mode among the scientists, space scientists of India. They are congratulating themselves on this great success. Well, this P.P.T is mostly aimed to create an awareness and atmosphere in the younger minds. So I address children only. Children, do you know that there are vivid branches of physics? Vivid branches of physics. In fact, actually speaking, literally, the branch of physics, its scope found to be very small. The branch of physics, scope found to be very small. But within which it's an ocean. Within which it's an ocean. We come across many type of branches. Many type of branches. Let me come from the grassroots for better understanding. When once we study about physics, let me come from the grassroots. This is physics has been classified into any guesses for that? Can you guess how many branches will be there? Numerous branches will be there. I will give a detailed explanation on this. I will give a detailed explanation on this. Next slide, please. Well, this is entirely the classification of physics. This entirely the classification of physics follows like this. We come across physics here. We come across physics. Physics, the basic considered as only classical physics. There was only classical physics when once it was started. That means the revolution of science has been taken place at the time of revolutionary process of development in the science and technology. Earlier it was known that physics is only related to classical physics. Physics is only related to classical physics. Physics is only related to classical physics. Like that was the idea. Later on, what does this classical physics studies? Question arises again. If you are wise enough, you would have asked, what does this classical physics studies? This classical physics studies about, here one word come across, micro, macro. One word we come across, macro. Macro in the sense a bulge one, a huge one, a bulge one and a huge one. That is called macro. Macro physics in the sense which studies about physical and measurable properties of the object. Physical and measurable properties of object. Physical and measurable properties of object. This is called macrophysics. In physics, we come across many number of this type of abbreviations, this type of things. These were called to be self-explanatory. If you have a good command over the language, then automatically they will come to the children. One can have a clear idea of this. Many number of things were self-explanatory. They themselves explain. Need not to go for by heart, need not to go for learning. So macro in the sense which is in a bulge manner. Macro physics means which studies about physical and measurable properties of object. What does we study under this macro physics means? Under this macro physics we study about mechanics, thermodynamics and energy. Mechanics, thermodynamics and energy. In fact, thermodynamics is also one of the energetics. There are many branches of energetics over there, such as acoustics, which studies about sound, optics, which studies about light. Again, we have electricity, magnetism will there. Like this, many number of branches of physics were there. They are studied under this heading called macrophysics. This is the earliest basic classification. What happened during the process of revolution of science? In the year 20th century, in 20th century, there was a scientist by name J.J. Thomson. There was a scientist by name J.J. Thomson. He invented a subatomic particle. What he invented? He invented a beautiful subatomic particle which is responsible for the total development of the science. In fact, it can be called as, this invention is in another words called as a paradigm shift. A paradigm shift in the process of revolution of physics. He invented a particular thing called, I think many will be knowing this symbol. This symbol stands for electron. This symbol stands for electron. He invented electron. After the invention of electron, the science which takes place into leaps and bounds, the development which occurred in leaps and bounds can be read under the heading called as modern physics. Can be read under the heading called as modern physics. What does this modern physics studies? What does this modern physics studies? Again, a question arises. This modern physics studies about microphysics. Here we come across two words. One is macro, another one is, this is macro, this one found to be micro. There is a small, what you call, difference between macro and micro. This is also self-explanatory. I just told you many things were self-explanatory. Many things were micro. Micro means, in the sense, it is a microscopic view of object. Here we study in a bulk, in a huge manner, which are seen from the naked eye. Whereas this microphysics studies about properties of matter which are not seen with the naked eye. Nothing but about subatomic particles. In that process, there was a branch which is developed known as quantum mechanics, which studies about electrons, their orientation, their quanta. This is called quantum mechanics. How that electron is revolving, what is its orientation, when once it tends to move, what happens to the particle. These are all things we study under the subject called as relativity. Again, in the advancement, we will have this peculiar branch of physics called as astrophysics. This peculiar branch of physics called as astro. This only plays a pivotal role. In another words, in fact, today's symposium, a seminar totally based on this astrophysics. Astrophysics. In the 2 course of our symposium, you can come across what is astrophysics, how the phenomenon will take place. After astrophysics, we will have nuclear physics, which is related to nuclear technology, nuclear power reactor. Again, there is cosmology. Cosmology is the branch of physics which studies about stellar objects. I think perhaps this small thing will give you a clear-cut idea of different branches of physics. Different things which were displayed on the screen. If you observe, what did you observe in the screen? What did you observe in that screen? A request to be common. What did you observe by seeing this slide? Any guesses will be there? What he is observing? Next slide, please. Here also a group of men, women, people rather, observing the sky. Since ancient times, man found to be curious about sun, star and other celestial bodies. These celestial bodies were also called as heavenly bodies. When night falls on him, the human race found to be mysterious about the happenings in the space. But because when night falls on him, he found to be mysterious, curious, anxious about the happenings in the sky, happenings in the blue sky. He thinks of moon, he thinks of different stars, he thinks of sun. The man, human race, very much curious about the happenings in the space. Here one word come across, that is called heavenly bodies. Heavenly bodies we come across. We come across a thing called as heavenly bodies. Did you know why this term has been came? Any guesses will be there? Here we come across one word called as heavenly bodies. What might be this heavenly body? Why we call this celestial object, celestial bodies as heavenly bodies? There is a mystery, something mythological facts were revolve around this word. At the time of revolution of the human race, when the human race found to be revoluted, he just observing the phenomena of space things, that is occurrence of eclipses during night time, occurrence of moon, stars, again disappearing of stars in the daytime, sun will comes in the daytime. These all things found to be very much curious to the human being, but he is unable to watch, he is unable to study about them, he is unable to see them properly. Just as the heavenly things, in a very similar manner, we cannot see God. Is there anybody who watched God? We cannot see, but we strictly believe that God is there. He henceforth all the things, all the mythological facts based on this heaven. There will be a heaven when once we passed away from this earth. Like this was the notion. These things also, stellar objects also as not known to him, as he is unable to perceive all such type of things, he gave a common name called as heavenly bodies. Sun, star, planets, Milky Ways, galaxies, all these things commonly named as heavenly bodies. Why? Because nobody at that moment doesn't know anything. Instead of calling them as stellar body or object, he called them as heavenly bodies. Heavenly bodies. He starts exploring the science there. He starts exploring the space from then onwards. Okay. There is one branch of physics which is called as astrophysics, which deals with the stellar objects. Just now we come across heavenly bodies. In a very similar manner, we come across about stellar objects. This astrophysics is the branch of physics which studies about stellar objects, heavenly bodies. When once we study, we are supposed to know the father of that particular branch, who initiated, who contributed a lot for this science. One can see the photograph of Angelo Secchi, a Jewish priest. Firstly, predominantly, he explains something about astrophysics. Henceforth, his name has been kept as father of astrophysics. Likewise, there were many scientists. There was a notion prevails, that is their era. Likewise, in the classical physics, we come across as Newton as the father of physics. Somebody's notion that Newton is the father of physics. Again, somebody said that it is Galileo who is father of the physics. Likewise, many notions prevail according to their ideology. Every scientist contributed a lot. They sacrificed their everything for the development of the science and technology. In that era, this Angelo Secchi is one of the Jewish priests. He was the priest, but at the same time he developed a curiosity about the stellar objects and developed a science called as astrophysics. Next slide, please. Okay. Now coming to the present topic designated to be is satellite or ISRO, but actually a satellite or ISRO. One can see the panoramic view of a satellite. One can see the panoramic view of a satellite. One can see the panoramic view of a satellite. The remaining portraits, what you are observing, there is a slight difference between the two photographs which were displayed on the screen. This one is satellite. Don't misunderstood here. This one stands for satellite. This one stands for, this is not the satellite. This is the payload which is taking the satellite to put into the orbit. This one is a local parlance, we call it as a rocket. So this is the rocket which takes the satellite into the space. This is the satellite actually which revolves around the particular orbit, around any stellar object. Next slide, please. Here, what does a satellite consisting of? We are supposed to know about satellite. What does a satellite consisting of? A satellite essentially consisting of, satellite is a body, accurately defining, absolutely saying, satellite is a body which revolves around another stellar object. Stellar objects such as a planet. A satellite, that is the definition of the satellite. Satellites are of two types. One is natural satellite, another one is man-made. Natural satellite, other one is man-made. Here, to come across two type of things. Satellite. Two type of classification is there. If it is a satellite, then it will be a natural or an artificial. Natural satellites are prettily known to us. All planets were satellites to the sun. Moon is also satellite to the earth. Likewise, many stars, many planets were the satellites. These were not made by us. These were in fact called as natural satellites. Again we have artificial satellites. These satellites were human made. These satellites were human made. Okay, I think you got the point. I think you got the point. Next slide, please. This is classified into two eras. One is polar satellite launching vehicle. One is polar satellite launching vehicle. Another one is geosynchronous launching vehicle. Geosynchronizing launching vehicle. We study in detail about the two things. Both are satellites, but there is a little bit classification is there. Little bit classification. Next slide, please. This is GSLV, geosynchronizing launching vehicle. Geosynchronizing launching vehicle. It is a high altitude satellite. It is a high altitude satellite orbiting around 35,800 kilometers away from the Earth. It is a satellite which orbits around 35,800 kilometers. The main purpose of setting this type of satellites designated as purpose of them is communication and weather. Communication and weather purpose, we will use these satellites GSLV, geosynchronizing launching vehicle. Next slide, please. Next it is PSLV. PSLV is the main subject of today. Symposium of today totally based on this PSLV. PSLV is nothing but polar satellite launching vehicle. Polar satellite launching vehicle. Polar satellite launching vehicle. This orbits the Earth from pole to pole. I said that many things are self-explanatory. Here it is polar satellite. Henceforth, it orbits the Earth entire from pole to pole. Pole to pole. It scans the entire Earth from North Pole to South Pole. Again from South Pole to North Pole. During the process of its revolution. Main purpose of this PSLV satellite is for remote sensing, weather and mapping. Remote sensing, weather and mapping. You come across a word here called as mapping. Called as mapping. What do you mean by mapping here? What do you mean by mapping? What do you mean by mapping here? Here we come across one word called as mapping. Now friends, let me indicate you how actually a satellite launches. What are the different stages in launching the satellite? In launching a satellite. Before going for launching of a satellite, let me inculcate you the major difference between a satellite and a rocket. A satellite and a rocket. The thing what you are observing is it a rocket or satellite? It is a rocket, not satellite. But innerly, satellite was inbuilt in that rocket. In that rocket, this is the payload. Actually, in the terms of physics, this rocket is the local parallels. That word we will use for local parallels. Accurately speaking, this one we will term as payload. A payload is that which takes the satellite into the orbit. Rocket is one that is designated to propel a payload, whereas satellite is one that orbits around the particular planet, particular thing, that is Earth, celestial bodies. Next slide, please. Now one can perceive a satellite revolving, orbiting around the Earth. This is a beautiful panoramic view of a satellite. One can observe how the satellite revolves around the Earth. Here the satellite which is revolving around the Earth. Like this, the satellite revolves around the Earth. As it is quite away, some thousands of kilometers away from the height, thousands of kilometers away from the Earth. So it captures everything from pole to pole. Because of this only, the location sharing is possible. Otherwise, we cannot share the location. We cannot share the location. We cannot share the location. Now one can see this is the satellite. what does this satellite consisting of? What does this satellite consisting of? Why? Because the symposium totally based on satellite. So I think it is helpful to know what does a satellite consisting of. Actually, this is the satellite. This satellite chiefly consisting of the following things. A satellite chiefly consisting of the following things. Following things. Mainly it's a structure. Mainly it's a structure. Structure in the sense, here the body. This body is called as structure. This body is called as structure. This structure is mostly designed to withstand the rigorous environment in the space. This structure is designed, made properly to withstand the rigorous environment. Mostly this structure is made with aluminium alloys and titanium. These two metals chiefly used in making the body, the structure, the position of the rocket. Again you come across power source. Power source is another part of the body. When once we label a satellite, these parts will appear. First one is structure. Structure is nothing but the position of the object. Basically, structure mostly designed with by using the metals called as aluminium alloys and titanium. And in other words, we will use a high melting point carbon fibers. Carbon fibers also used in the preparation of the structure. Again, we will have power source. What might be the power source? Power is a very essential thing that makes the satellite to revolve. These power sources are mostly nothing but solar panels. These power sources are mostly nothing but solar panels. Solar panels. One can observe this one, and this one was solar panels. Inbuilt batteries will be there. This is called power source. Again, we will have instruments. What are the instruments that a satellite will have? A satellite will have instruments, namely cameras, sensors, radar system also. Cameras, sensors and radar system also. Again, antenna. Antenna is the chief thing in the entire procedure of this satellite. One can see the antenna here. One can see the antenna. Antenna meant for both the purposes. For transmitting the data, what it collects, and to receive the data from the Earth's surface. Earth's surface. Our scientists used to communicate with the what you call the space persons, space scientists, because of the presence of this antenna only. Antenna meant for both for receiving, transmitting the data, at the same time receiving the data. It sends beautiful picture. This all possible because of antenna. Because of antenna only. Antenna meant for both the purposes, receiving purpose, transmitting purpose. I think you got the point. Alright, when there. Initially, here there were two steps. Escape in the sense, it is what you call a escape velocity in the sense we have to escape. Self-explanatory word again.
Well friends, orbital velocity defined as it is the velocity at which a satellite must travel to maintain a stable orbit. V is equal to square root of Gm by R, where G stands for gravitational constant. Its value is a calculated one and can be obtained as capital G is equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter per kg square. It's an accurate value where we will use it as a constant. This is known as universal gravitational constant. Again, we will have mass of the central body, that is Earth or satellite we will call, where again we will have capital R, where capital R is the distance between Earth to satellite. It is the distance between Earth to the satellite which is revolving around any celestial object like this. V is equal to square root of Gm by R. Well friends, here it is. It requires a centripetal force to keep on rotation in an orbit. The payload which is presented in the space requires a centripetal force to keep on rotation in an orbit. This can be achieved by this orbital velocity. Thus we will have on equating the forces, we will have Fc, that is centripetal force, is equal to mv square by r, mv square by r. And equating the forces, we will have force of gravity is equal to force of centripetal force. Both the forces will be equal and opposite here. Force of gravity is equal to force of a centripetal force. That implies capital G, capital M, small m divided by r square is equal to mv square by r. Here m and m will be gets cancelled. M and m will be gets cancelled. Okay. These two equations, and equating both the equations, m and m will be gets cancelled. On cross multiplication we will have capital G, capital M, small r is equal to v square into r square. V square into r square. Thus, let me rearrange the terms. LHS becomes RHS, RHS made as LHS. Nothing will problem here. Thus, we will have v square into r square is equal to capital G, capital M into small r. That implies v square is equal to capital G, capital M, small r divided by r square. Here r and r will be gets cancelled. In the numerator we will have 1r, in the denominator we will have r square. So that square will be gets cancelled. Then we will have finally v square is equal to capital G, capital M divided by r, small r rather. That implies finally we will have to achieve what is orbital velocity. This orbital velocity v is equal to capital G, capital M divided by small r, capital G, capital M divided by small r. Okay, like this. Here one word came, that is centripetal force. It plays a pivotal role in orbiting any body. Either it is space or it is on the universe. That we will use different type of electrical appliances in day-to-day life. If you take any electrical appliance, if it is rotating means, then must and should the force behind that rotation is nothing but a centripetal force. You take the case of a fan. Wings of a fan will rotate. Motor will be there that projects the necessary centripetal force. You take the blades of a mixie. Nothing but it is a centripetal force. Like this, centripetal force plays a pivotal role. How to achieve this? Here one can see the chambers of the rocket. Different chambers of the rocket. You can see these rockets are filled with what does this rocket consisting of? These rocket consisting of different type of chambers. These chambers are filled with propellants. Actually speaking, to move any vehicle we pour fuel, isn't it? To run any vehicle we require fuel. Like the same, to keep this rocket, to launch this rocket we require a fuel. Here fuel in the sense we call them as propellants. This fuel, these propellants makes the rocket to make a move. Henceforth the propellants used in the rocket's chamber were liquid hydrogen, kerosene and oxygen. These three will be the fuel that is called propellants for this rocket. By burning these propellants, one can achieve a great high temperature and high pressure will be built in these chambers. Okay, like this one can achieve this escape velocity. To achieve this escape velocity, these propellants have to ignite themselves. These propellants will be used liquid hydrogen, kerosene and oxygen. These three will be used as propellants. Well friends, now comes into picture the world famous Newton's third law of motion. It plays a pivotal role in launching a rocket. What is Newton's third law of motion? Everybody known to this. For every action there will be an equal and opposite reaction which is acting on two different bodies. One body is the chamber, another body is the nozzle. In the chamber action takes place. That is nothing but coming under the influence of high temperature and pressure. They ignited and the thirst will be excessively more in the chamber. It tries to come out from this nozzle. That is the action. They exert an enormous force on the nozzle and then they try to come out. While coming out, that gases, that fumes, whatever you call, they internally Newton's third law of motion comes into picture here. Reaction takes place. The exhausted gases which comes out with a high temperature and pressure will act as the reactive force. They sends back. This reactive force will become more, then the rocket jumps into the sky, jumps into the high sky like anything with greater velocity, and orbiting around the earth it achieves the escape velocity. This is the phenomena what actually takes place in the launching of a rocket. So Newton's third law of motion plays a pivotal role in launching the rocket. Okay, here action reaction will takes place. This makes the rocket to sky high the position. Again, one can see after reaching the earth's orbit, this can be dissolved. Now friends, let me inculcate you what actually ISRO is. ISRO is Indian Space Research Organization. This is also regarded as SHAR. Another name is SHAR, SHAR, Sriharikota Altitude Range. Another renowned name which has been kept as a mark of respect to one of our Indian space scientists, nothing but SDSC. This SHAR is also, ISRO is also called as SDSC. In the sense, SDSC means Satish Dhawan Space Center. In the image, you can see the panoramic view of ISRO, but due to what you call, it is a matter of security and defense mechanism, a wide range of its photos one cannot find anywhere. But to my fortune, to my good fate, in the year 2000, I was invited by this SHAR as I consecutively selected. My models were selected consecutively for state awards, as me a 3 times consecutively state awardee. At that time, they invited people like us for exhibiting the capabilities of ISRO. So I was fortunate in the year 2000 August, like that I went there. I spent more than 2 days on their invitation, exclusively saying it is a wonderful, I have some experience to spend some time at ISRO. I think it is not possible for everybody due to this security reasons and security purposes. It is not possible. I was fortunate, rather it is a boon to me to visit there. When once we visit there, we cannot, there will be goosebumps on seeing every inch, every aspect of this ISRO. One have to visit there. We visit different kinds of places, but try to visit there, have the correspondence. Certainly they will provide when once on seeing your excellence, and if you are passionate, then surely there are ways to reach there. One have to visit there. We have to cope up with the recent happenings, how the satellites will be launched, what is the mechanism, how the phenomena will go. These are all things one can learn. One can have the vivid, beautiful experience of ISRO. I was fortunate. This ISRO, SHAR or SDSC, that is Indian Space Research Organization, in another words SHAR, Sriharikota Altitude Range, or SDSC, Satish Dhawan Space Center, located in Sullurpet, erstwhile Nellore district of Andhra Pradesh, southern India. It is a historical place. In the sprawling 1,000 acres of land at seashore, sprawling 1,000 acres of land. Now the question arises, why it is Sullurpet only? Why can't it be renowned places like Mumbai or Hyderabad or Vizag or any other place which has a seashore? But the question arises, why Sullurpet only? Well friends, Remember, at Sulurpet, it has some of the specifications. Only thing is altitude of land. Its altitude and latitude of land. There the earth inclined to the equator in a degree of 45 degrees. It makes the rocket to launch very easily. And it inclined exactly the earth's domain there inclined to 45 degrees, which makes the rocket to launch very easily. Another promising fact to choose this Sulurpeta is near only there is a very big sea, very big Bay of Bengal Sea. If any untoward incident takes place while launching a rocket, that rocket can be dumped into the sea. Like this will be the arrangement. Without harming anybody, it can be dumped into the sea. So for that purpose, Sulurpeta has been taken as the choice. Again, another one is, to one side it has Sulurpet, another side it has a beautiful Pulicot Lake. Up to now, ISRO successfully launched 150 Indian satellites. Of course, it has launched numerous number of satellites of other countries, other firms and companies, other institutions, but confirmly saying, ISRO up to now launched 150 of its indigenous satellites, which were originally developed by our Indian space scientists only. Do you know what is the first satellite of our India? It is nothing but it is Aryabhatta. It is Aryabhatta. In the year 1975, 19th April, in the year 1975, in the month of April 19th, we launched our first satellite, indigenously made, with all our knowledge and resilience. We made this satellite Aryabhatta. One can see the panoramic view of this Aryabhatta satellite. But unfortunately, due to many various reasons, it has been launched by, of course, it is prepared by ISRO, but it was not launched in India. It was launched in collaboration with Russia. In Russia, it has been launched. So, like this, Aryabhatta became the first satellite. Currently, one Mr. Narayanan, a cryogenic engineer, is the chairman of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. Under his leadership only, the recently launched NISAR satellite successfully projected into the orbit. He is the new chairman of ISRO. He is pioneered many type of satellites and missiles which were prepared under his chairmanship. An excellent personality with a human concern, Mr. Narayanan, now hosting the post as chairman of ISRO. Dr. V. Narayanan. One can see the portrait of Mr. Narayanan, which has been displayed to you. He is currently the present person who is responsible for all our space activities in India. Here are my heartfelt acknowledgements and all credentialities goes to one of our beloved, my boss, Sri Venkata Srinivasulu garu, who ignited me on my gesture as I myself ensemble as a academician and freelancer. He provoked me and he said that you are yourself engaging as an educator. Why can't you prepare anything that will be benefited to our students and the society? Then those words ignited me. Thank you, beloved my boss, for igniting me and preparing this type of a spectacular PPT PowerPoint presentation of this. Again, I will thankful to Sri Uday garu for his technical support in preparing this PPT. Again, I am very much thankful to Sri Dhanumjaya garu, who rendered a lot of service by undertaking this photography and videography of this PPT and incorporating this PPT onto the YouTube platform. Really, I am thankful to one of my boss who ignited, who sparkled me, who provoked me to prepare this type of an excellent PPT. Well, friends, thank you. This is Ansari sir, an academician, freelancer, and a digital content creator. I am fascinated to prepare PowerPoint presentations and the things regarded a matter of what you call interest of science aspects. I was very much fascinated to prepare this. You can watch my different kinds of works in the field of science and technology on my YouTube channel, Ansari's video lesson. You go to YouTube and there in the search bar you type Ansari's videos lesson. Then you can come across dozens of my videos which were rendered in the service of my colleagues and my beloved children for their enlightenment and good learning. I was very much fascinated to prepare this, go through this entire PPT without skipping. And once again, I sincerely request you, don't simply see and don't have a glimpse and delete it. Just go through it, see it till the end and share it on different platforms. This is created in the wide range of public interest. Undergoing a greater stress and strain, I prepare this. I spent more